Hello, how are you? I am here today with Krisha Young. Krisha, say hi.
Hi.
And I'm
Oh,
super pumped to have her here because
I'm very
Krisha,
excited.
as well with her partner Shauna, they have created a platform that talks about both business and spirituality. So they can talk about spirituality from a less, I'm doing air quotations, woo-woo space, so that people can really implement all of these different tools to help ascend their life, their business, and everything in that facet. And so I'm super pumped to chat today. I know we're going to talk a lot about self-development, what it means to be in your highest self, what 5D means and how to live in 5D. Also, we're going to chat about how to bring these spiritual components into your business and into your life so you don't feel like you're always hustling. And I know within our communities, we're really being called to draw this line in the sand, to pull people out of this victim mode and coming from a place of power so that you can truly take power of your life, move forward, step into your own truth, whatever that means. And we're going to chat about that with Krisha. And so I'm really excited to dive into all of this. And if you're feeling this interview is for you. So Krisha, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
please just introduce yourself quickly, and then we can dive right into all this juicy content.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. And I'm really, really excited to support this community because this is all about women supporting women. And this is something that we so need. And I love the rise of the feminine. I love how many female entrepreneur businesses have emerged and just like exploded over the last like 6-7 years since I've been in this entrepreneurial space. And I'm really excited today to talk to your community, to these women, about how we can navigate the shift that's actually happening right now in this space, because we're so used to operating out of this like more masculine and patriarchal paradigm that's just not working anymore, right? We all know this. There is a big shift that's happening that everybody is feeling right now. And so many things that were working before are just not working anymore. And my job, and with my co-creator, Shauna, we are here to help facilitate the transference of women and men across this threshold from this old way of working, this old hustle, this old paradigm, this like clenched fear-based society that we've been living in for so long, into something that is way more beautiful, way more in alignment, joyful, spiritual, satisfying, and like just full of gratitude. And it might sound like this pipe dream, right? Because like, you know, everybody is seeking the holy grail of happiness, right? Like everybody, oh, I just want to be happier, right? But what does that even mean? And how do you get there? And that is what we are here to teach, because we have personally gone through the fire, or whatever you want to call it. I don't even like calling it fire because it was so beautiful, even though it was incredibly painful to let go of the old stories and the victim mindset. That was me.
Can we dive into that a little bit? I want to get super real because
stop me because I'll just keep going.
I want people to know, if they're listening, Krisha is talking from experience. She has made very difficult decisions. She was sharing with me that she recently left her husband. And this comes to the fact that life is all about choices and decisions.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? What these choices mean for people? How do people know if they need to start making more decisions and taking that action in their lives to truly move themselves forward from a place of alignment and truth, instead of from a place of fear and anger and sadness?
So I'll relate this to my story. I think a lot of people, and this is what happened with me. So I created a life based on the way I was brought up. Basically, like, you know, I grew up with my mother. She's passed away now. She was an alcoholic. Okay. And the environment that I grew up in was toxic, right? And so there was a very huge lack of self-worth, self-esteem, all of that kind of stuff. very fear-based living, very scarcity, very victim, very depressing, like lots of that heavy, heavy, heavy energy. And there was me inside of that going, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. I don't understand this. I feel like there's something bigger. I feel like there's something brighter. But I was so anchored in that space of fear and scarcity. And at 16, I was kicked out, and that was sort of like the beginning, quote unquote, of my life. And I had no choice but to go on welfare. And I ended up in this sort of like cycle of like relationships that were not good for me, but that I stayed in because of quote unquote security. And what I did is I created this existence, this life from this space of needing security and fear-based thinking. It wasn't big thinking. There was no gratitude in it. There was no love in it. There was no joy in it. It was all coming from the space of, I would really love that, but I can't have that. That's not part of my reality. So I'm just going to have to go and do this. I'm going to have to stay in this relationship and stay in this marriage and stay in this job and stay in these things, because now I've got myself in a position where I'm like, there's financial requirements where I'm the breadwinner and I have to take responsibility and all these things. And there was this creation of a life from when I was 16 all the way up until like, just the last couple of years, where it was all from that energy, from that place of, I would really love to do something different, but I can't. Like, I just can't. There's no way. Like, to do that is absolutely terrifying, and it's for other people. And anytime I do try to break free, I get pulled back somehow, right? The universe gives me evidence that I shouldn't be doing this, because too many things go wrong when I try to emerge, when I try to share my voice, when I try to express myself in a way that is opposite of what everybody else is thinking or being or doing. I end up getting rejected. And that rejection turns me in and makes me go smaller. So I lived for a very, very, very long time in the paradigm of, I can't be big, I can't be bold, I can't speak my truth, I can't live in this true space that I know I want to live, because it's just not safe for me to do that, right? And so what happened was all the decisions that were being made unconsciously, I can see this now going back, right? But all the decisions that were being made unconsciously were coming from this place of needing to be safe, needing to not be rejected, needing to toe the line in some sort of way, shape, or form, needing to please others, needing to save other people. That was a big thing for me. Saving my mother, right? And that carried through to every relationship that I had. It's like, oh, I can't go too far because this person's not coming with me. So I need to stay like gray and neutral so that I don't outshine this person that I'm with. And
when really the whole time you were being called to save yourself.
Oh my God, big time. And the bigger, it's not about me. And when I finally accepted the fact that I'm here for bigger, which we all are, when I finally accepted that and leaned into the truth of that and started to ask myself some serious questions. Okay, am I right now living in a way that is serving women and humanity as I am meant to serve women and humanity? No. What does my life look like right now? Well, it looks like I'm living in this suburban house with a partner who we're not intimate. We're not in the same bedroom. Like we're going through the notions of being married, but there's no real marriage there. And I'm living in an environment that I can't stand. And the question you asked, I can't remember your wording exactly, but it was like, how do you know, or something like that. We all know what is our truth, right? And the whole
someone's sitting there listening to you thinking, no, Krisha, I have no idea. I think people get so disconnected from what alignment and what truth actually feels like. How can people actually tune into that? We all know intuition, but we get veered so far off course that we don't even know what it feels like anymore.
It's and this is the thing, like for a lot of people, it has to get so noisy that you finally start paying attention. So it's often a journey, right? And I knew, so for me, it was, I talked a big talk, and I was telling everybody else, don't settle, live your big life. And this was even in my business in the early years, like do these big things. And meanwhile, then I was like kind of skulking around in my own life, like playing small and not doing the things that were on my heart and on my soul. And the things that were on my heart and on my soul were coming to light because of the personal development work that I was doing, right? So that would be an area I would recommend for anybody who's like, oh, I don't know what my truth is. Okay, so that's when you are asked the question, well, if you could do anything, what would you do? What is your ideal day? Right? And how far are you between what you're doing now and your actual ideal day? These are exercises that we bring people through in my one-on-one and ascension and all that kind of stuff. We have to figure out, where are you right now versus where it is that you want to be. Everybody has a dream. Everybody has something inside of them that they're like, well, if I won the lottery, I would do this. Or if I didn't have kids, I would do this. Or if I wasn't married, I would do that. Or if I had no restrictions, I would do that, right? That's the thing that you already know is inside of you. So when you're asked those questions, like, okay, if you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing right now? If you didn't have to worry about what anybody said or thought, would you still be married to the person you're married to, right? Like it's asking those kinds of questions of yourself. And you can do that by listening to, you know, somebody like me or any of the experts out there who are in the personal development space, who are holding space for you to live your best life, right? What are the questions that they're asking you about what is your truth in that scenario? And then recognizing what those answers are, right? And then that's the first step. It's just like that awareness. That's why the first module is awareness, right? Because it's like you need to become aware of where you are, where is it that you want to go? And then it's bridging the gap between the two. And that gap can seem huge and terrifying and scary. And there's all sorts of like monsters underneath that keep you at bay. And that is what myself and Shauna help you bridge, right? And that's what I needed to navigate in order to go from being in that scenario over and over again. I've been married twice now. And so both times it was the same scenario. It was like, this is safe, but it is not my highest. And
what does your highest feel like?
Oh my God.
I know, I'll share what mine feels like, but I love knowing. No, you go first.
Okay.
I love hearing what people's highest, because then that's how people can know, oh, you know, maybe I am in my highest right now. What does it feel like for you?
Oh, it feels, I can't even put words to it. Like, that's how it feels. Like, it feels just like pure joy and pure happiness and pure gratitude and a sense of ease and a sense of satisfaction and a sense of calm and a sense of knowing and a sense of confidence and a sense of unshakability. Like I'm unshakable in this. No matter, anybody can say anything to me, it doesn't matter, because I know my truth, right? And I know what I'm here to do. And I recognize when something is not in vibration with that. I recognize when something is not in alignment with that. And we all have that ability. We all have that. A lot of the stuff that I teach is embodiment, right? Because we have so much freaking information out there, but it's useless until we embody it. And embodiment is bringing it into your body, and especially as women, right? Especially as goddesses. So it's recognizing the resonance in your body. So I'll talk about it from that point of view. So my highest feels like so expansive and like tingly. You know, when you get the goosebumps, like those, we call them truth bumps, right? When you get the truth bumps all over your body and you've got shivers and you're just like, oh, it's orgasmic.
That's fun.
It's orgasmic. So hopefully most of us know what an orgasm feels like, right? If not, that's also work we can help you with, but not doing it for you, but
next workshop, Krisha.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Getting you to a place of receiving that, right? Because that's all about receptivity. That's all about letting go. right? That's all about surrender to be able to have a really great orgasm. But if you have experienced that sensation, that tingly sensation, or whatever that feels like for you in your body as a woman, to have that sensation in your body, that is pretty much how I walk around feeling all day long. That is me being in my highest. And what happens is when you're out of that, when you're doing something you don't like if I did not like this right now, you would be able to tell. I wouldn't be doing it, first of all, but I would have before, because it was something that I thought I had to do in order to build my business, right? There's so many freaking things that I did that I thought I had to do in order to run my business. And I felt so much resistance and tension in my body. And it feels very clangy. It's very clang, clang, clang. It's like cymbals going off all of the time when I know I'm in something that is not my highest.
I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into this. So is this what you call living in 5D?
Yes.
Okay. Coming back to now, you brought up business.
Uh-huh.
What are some tips that people can take away? How do you live in 5D and in your highest truth while running a business? Because there's so much of that conflicts, and so much of what we're taught in business in order to be successful is do, action, action, action in order to be successful. So how do we live in our truth while expanding our business and making money, which is obviously super important as well?
Yep. Well, it a lot of it comes down to really making sure that you're running a business that you love to run, first of all. Feeling that difference between something that lights you up, makes you feel orgasmic, makes you feel tingly, versus something that makes you feel that clangy, tense feeling inside. Looking at the ways in processes that you have in place, and getting super, like, this is your life we're talking about, okay? This is your life. And you need to be like really discerning and very cutthroat on the things that don't light you up. And
So
anything
within
that you
that,
think is a should,
yeah.
right?
So
So
within that, how do people know if it's something they shouldn't be doing? Or so often I see people saying, oh, that's not for me, but actually what they need is a mindset shift. And
right,
so they're living in that limiting belief
right,
and limiting and their fears,
yeah.
thinking, oh, it doesn't feel right. But no, it's just because you're getting in your own way.
Yeah, okay, so do you have a for example for me that we can maybe
Oh, I
like
see it all the time
coach
with
on?
my clients too.
Yeah, yeah. So give me a
Uh,
for example. Let's
so I'll have a client say to me, I really don't think social media is for me. It just makes me feel gross.
okay. Okay. So there could be some truth in that. Um, there could be a sabotage in that. So I think what I would do with that person is, go a little bit deeper in that and examine, okay, well, what's underneath this? Like, is it potentially the way in which you're utilizing social media that doesn't feel good for you? So I'll give you an example. I mean, like, I can't tell you how many times I have been coached and mentored by social media experts and marketing experts. I've worked with the best of the best of the best in the industry. I know all of the things to do. And one of the strategies out there is to have like theme days, for example, and posting every single day and all of that kind of stuff. And to me, that doesn't feel right for me. Now, that is something that I can hire somebody to do for me, right? But for me, in my highest self, in my highest purpose, to sit here and create like daily content in that way is clangy. It doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel right. And I needed to work around all of that because it's not a mindset issue. I have no fear whatsoever. It just is not in alignment with how I am here to deliver my message. So yes, social media is a huge tool in this work. We need to leverage it, but how are we leveraging it? And going underneath that fear, is it just that you don't want to post in the way that we're strategizing right now? Or is it that you're afraid you have nothing to say? Is it afraid, are you like nervous about going live? Like, what is underneath that? And then examining that And then saying, okay, well, like batch contenting, never have I ever done that. I've never been able to do that. I can't do that, right? But that's a concept. That's a strategy out there. And somebody could potentially be like, well, you're blocked. No, I'm not. That's just not how I roll. That's not in my highest. And if you're asking me to go there, then you're not going to get anything out of me, because that is just not how I roll. Now, there's other people who could totally batch content and totally do all of those things and feel amazing doing that. And it's a 10 for them, right? It's like it gives them the shivers and the chills in order to be able to work in that way. So I think we need to honor and respect each of our individual ways of working, and remember that we do need to bring in the masculine in here in terms of like getting the work done. And having that, what do we want to call it? The productivity in order to run the business, right? Like we can't always be in this feminine flow state, because then nothing's ever going to get done. Mm-hmm. So we need to marry those two things. But when we're bringing in that more masculine sort of doing side of things, when you're coming at it from that fifth dimensional, joyful, is this a 10 for me space, then that doing becomes very fluid and joyful. And what you're going to get out of that person is so much more juice than if you have something that's being forced. So I think it's a matter of like getting to know yourself and working on where you do have limits and blocks and fears, and seeing whether something is a fear or whether it is a resistance because it is an integrity breach. It is something that's out of alignment. And that's where like coaching would come in with this particular client, right? It's like, okay, let's go underneath this. What's really coming up for you under that, and finding a win-win that brings in the productivity, that brings in the thing that's going to bring in the money, the business side of things, while being in that aligned space, while being in that heart-centered space, right? While having orgasms while you're posting.
Yeah, so true. No, I agree with everything that you just said. And you had already mentioned, even it really boils down to just asking yourself the right questions and mm-hmm. digging deeper.
Yes.
How, now that you're living in 5D more of the time, how has your life shifted? What does that look like now that you're living in this different paradigm?
I don't even think that, and unless you experience it, you don't believe it. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So let's talk about what 5D is first.
Yeah.
So that people can have an understanding of this. So fifth dimensional living is all about living in a more conscious way. Okay. So we all have these subconscious patterns that run our life pretty much. And then we start to become aware of these things, right? So when we're looking at our partner and we want to smash their face in, and we're like, where did that just come from? Oh my God, that's a clue, right? Or when we're sitting in the parking, in the driveway and not getting out of our car because we just can't get out of the car and go into the house, those are some clues right there that you are in a space of what I'm doing is just not, it's not where I want to be, right? So that's when we start to like ping up on these subconscious patterns, because getting out of the car and going in is just, it's a pattern. It's just like an unconscious thing that we're doing. And all of the fears and all of the stuff that we have going on are just these unconscious patterns that we're constantly running. So as we start to see those and transcend them and break through them, and the layers of the onion, as they call it in the personal development space, we start to shed and become closer and closer and closer and closer to our truth and in that aligned space. And as we become closer and closer and closer into that aligned space, and we're living in that state of gratitude, in that state of joy, a big part of that is being in present moment, right? Present awareness. And this is what mindfulness teaches us. This is what, the Buddha teaches us. This is what meditation teaches us, right? That's why these tools are critical. They're not woo-woo. I did a post last week or something, and I'm like, it's like oxygen. It is critical to have those mindful practices because that is also a way for you to see what is truth and what is a lie, what's a pattern, what's your highest self, all of that kind of stuff, and bring those closer together and start shedding that. And so the more we are in that space of that full alignment and having those body sensations and feeling that gratitude and feeling that joy and feeling that expansiveness, and we're in the present moment, and we are right there with the person who's in front of us. We are right there with the pain that's coming up for us. Just because you're in fifth dimension doesn't mean you're not experiencing pain. Of course, you can still experience pain in that space. But what it looks like when you're living in that space on a day-to-day basis is freaking magic. Like, I can't even begin to tell you, like, one day can feel like a year, because so many amazing things can happen. And I mean that in the best way. Like, it's not, it feels like a year because it went slow or it went fast, or it's just like, look at all the freaking things that happened today. And that was just one day. Look at all the things that happened in the last week, and it's only 1 week. Like, what? And you expand and expand and expand, and you transcend, and what you thought an hour ago doesn't even matter anymore. And you're so present, and you're so in the flow of bringing in what it is that you need in every single moment, and what the person in front of you needs in that moment, right? Like, that is it. And it's understanding that we are here in a collective consciousness, as this one unity. We're just energy, right? We are all just energy. And then there's the gravity and the heaviness of the 3D. There's the gravity and the heaviness of real life. And, you know, allowing yourself to be pulled and yanked back down into that is dangerous, because when you get pulled and yanked back down, now you're back in the problem. Now you're back in depression. Now you're back in anxiety. Now you're back in fear. Now you're back in blame. Now you're back in victim. Now you're back in those states of like, this doesn't work for me. Why doesn't this work for me? Why does this always happen to me? Why, blah, blah, blah. See, every time I go for my dreams, this is what happens, right? And so the fifth dimension is living in that space, choosing to be in that space of expansiveness and gratitude and joy and happiness and present awareness and connectiveness every second of your day. And it is totally possible. It is not a pipe dream at all. And you can transcend this really, really fast, especially if you have the right support, around you.
We kind of talked about it a little bit already. What are some of the first steps people can take to start living in this 5D dimension and highest truth life?
So I think it boils down to what we talked about before. It's like bringing in that awareness, right? Like, where are you that you know right now you're out of alignment? Because you know.
Yeah.
We all know. We just deny it.
And what would you say to that person when they see this thing that in their life they're living out of alignment? What would you say to that person?
I would say, okay, let's get to work. I would say, yay, you found something, right? And it's okay if you're scared. It's okay if it feels impossible. It's okay if it feels a million years away. It's okay if it feels like it's never going to happen. Like, that's all okay. That's part of your reality right now, because that's how you've been living. It's okay if your mom or dad don't think that that they think that you're insane for wanting these things. It's okay if you want to leave your marriage. It's okay if you can't stand something in your life right now that you should like. It's okay. Right? Like, whatever is on your heart and soul that you know already right now, you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to do this. Man, whatever that is inside of you, it's okay. Love it. You don't even have to tell a soul that it exists for you. Okay. You just need to acknowledge it. Just like a little tiny little seed. And just say, oh, I see you. And I know that you are a deep part of me that I've been denying for a really long time. And I'm not going to deny you anymore. I have no idea how. I don't know where, I don't know when. Like, that's when the freaky outy how like thoughts come in. And that's okay. Like, all of this is okay. Everything that you're experiencing in every moment, whether it is fear or not, is all okay. It's what's not okay is to continue to deny it. We have this one shot on this earth, and you can either, like, well, for this lifetime at least anyway, and you can either decide to continue to bury and stuff it, or you can decide to say, okay, you know what? I wonder what this could be like. And work on the fears, work on the confidence, work on the self-love, work on the pieces of intuition, getting into your intuition more, work on getting into your feminine body more, work on cutting out the people and places and things in your life that you know you can easily cut out, right? Like, if you got a friend that's dragging you down, you're just like, I don't want to see this person anymore, and it's easy for you to do that. Start snipping, start trimming, start looking around you. Like, decluttering is a huge, great way to start doing this kind of work, right? Even just decluttering your closet, like, it's clearing. And this is part of the onion layering, right? And then as you're doing that, more and more and more things will start to surface. And if you're brave, then, and courageous, then, and you want to look at these things, then you can look at the truth that's coming up and honor it, and dive into that and say, okay, this is my truth, and I can no longer deny this part of me. So I'm going to do whatever it takes in order to live there. And that was just the decision that I made. And it took a couple of years for me to be able to go through the molasses, to get through the gravity of the expectations of being a wife and a mother and living in the suburbs and having these obligations and having these expectations on me. It took a while for me to be able to do that. But I was so incredibly supported in that space. And this is a fear that I think a lot of people have, is that they're not going to be supported, right? Like, well, yeah, you're not going to be supported by the people who don't believe or think the way you do. But holy cow, the people who show up when you are starting this journey, even as lonely and crazy and chaotic and scary as it might feel when you're in it, the people who show up are going to be amazing. And they're going to be the people who are going to help you in that moment. And they may show up as something that is painful, or they may show up as something that is fucking amazing, right? Either way, they're showing up to help you on that journey. And your job is just to simply stay true, stay on your course, go back constantly to who are you? Why are you here? And this is why I love human design, because that is a tool that really helps people remember who they are, get back into that alignment, and stay on that path, so that whatever external is going on can just be this noise. And then you can transcend as you continue to climb. Did that answer the question?
Totally. I love also that you specifically use the word courage, because if anyone's listening to this conversation, it is evident that this stuff, whatever you want to call it, however spiritual you are, it takes courage and it does take work in order to be aware and to decide that you are going to live a different life. It takes a decision. So in concluding this conversation, I'd love for you to share, what are you currently questioning or working on personally right now as you continue to grow in your life?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because that changes like minute by minute. Like, I'm literally, I'm at the point now where like, there's so little that's coming up for me in terms of fears or things that need to be transcended. Releasing expectations, attachment to outcome would probably be some remaining like snippets that need to go, because I'm calling in such huge things. Constantly working on receiving, right? That's a big thing for women, a huge thing that I teach women how to do. And I'm opening up my ability, my capacity to receive even more, like bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what I'm being challenged with is big things are coming in, and that the feeling of discomfort in my body when it comes up, to recognize that, okay, that's just an old pattern, that's an old paradigm. What is this telling me? What is this teaching me? And generally in a meditation or in something, I can see underneath it and like transcend it pretty quickly. Plus I'm also very well supported, like I said. So having support and having those people around you who are doing the exact same work, who are at a level above you or at least at your level, is critical. You cannot do this work with somebody who hasn't done their work. They will continue to drag you down. So yeah, I think it's obviously I'm still navigating the breakdown of the relationship and all of the stuff that is around that, right? Like there's so many times that I could have easily been pulled back down and had drag out fights with my ex, but I don't. Like I'm in a place of just like, no, I'm here to love you. And I'm here to be love with you in this space. And I know you're hurting, and I was hurting, and I'm not hurting anymore. And all I can do is just be this source of love for you while you're going through your stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Like it's those kinds of things. So it's just like, how can I serve at a higher level? How can I, yeah, it's just the being. Like there is kind of no like 5 steps that I'm doing, or it's not like I meditate every morning. And like it's really being in present awareness. Present awareness, I would say, is probably one of the other things that I'm like reminding myself of. Like, oh, I'm going into thoughts, oh nope, back to present awareness.
Right. It's
Faith,
beautiful.
trust, all of that. Yeah.
It's also beautiful just thinking about being that body of love. How can you just love in this moment? And
Yes.
so if someone wants to get support from you, Krisha, how can they reach you, contact you, and work with you further?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. I Krisha Young, on like all the channels, KRISHAYOUNG. My website's krishayoung.com, Facebook Krisha Young. I think on Instagram I'm the Krisha Young. So any of those channels, send me a DM. You can reach me. There's a contact me page on my website. I'm available to speak, do workshops, do podcasts and things like that. So if anybody's listening who has their own community and would like to have this message delivered to them as well, we provide like programs and intensive coaching as well, coaching containers. There's so much we have on offer here to be able to help support people in this time and on this particular journey. So just get in contact with me, and we'll see like what's up, have a conversation and like go from there. But Facebook and yeah, like, I mean, I'm probably not as good, quote unquote, as I should be, but whatever. I put all of these kinds of interviews on my website. So there's like media mentions. I got tons of them from the last like 6 years that I've been doing this work. But yeah, that's definitely. And we created a freebie too for your community, for your women. So,
and I'll put a link. I believe that is krishayoung.com/Vanessa/gift.
That's right.
Okay. Yes. There you go. So you can get that gift, and and Krisha will talk more about her story along with her partner, Shauna. And you'll go through more of your story and more takeaways that people can take away from that. I know if you're listening to this, I'm sure you're feeling uber jazzed about really getting into that alignment. No more victim mentality, moving forward and stepping into your truth, because you deserve it. And like Krisha said before, it is not about you. It is about being of service and helping so many other souls and people within the world coming from a place of love, which I know is so much in alignment with the ladies community and our mission.
Yes.
So I want to thank you so much for being here, Krisha, and sharing your story and being so vulnerable, because I know a lot of women will be able to relate to that story and the pressures that you had felt bringing you into that situation that you then decided to get out from.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't easy, but it was totally worth it. And you know, just giving yourself so much love in this space, like the love and the compassion for yourself, and working on your self-love is the most important thing in this journey,
For sure. I
beyond
couldn't
anything.
agree more. It is a relationship between you and you.
And you.
And that's you and you, and your whole life is just continuing to perfect that. So thanks
Absolutely.
again for being here, Krisha. Thanks for listening.
Thank
And
you,
we will
everybody.
chat with you soon and see you on another platform. Bye for now.